Hello, everyone. I just wanted to say a few things about your paper on the Neanderthal cognition. I wanted to give you this sort of sense, or give you a sort of sense of where these studies are. This is all very exploratory, and you saw that the papers, the sort of founding papers in this, are all written within the last decade or so. So keep in mind this is exploratory, and that's sometimes the most fascinating and exciting stuff because you're weeding through ideas. So when I talk about Mythen or I talk about Donald, those two really prominent models that I've discussed and that you've read about, keep in mind those are models, and reification is the mistake of thinking of something as being real when it is actually still hypothetical. So be careful not to reify these models. They are still models. They are still attempts to understand what's going on, and that's research. Somebody told me that Einstein said if we knew the answers, we wouldn't call it research. So people are working on it, and I'm working on a model. I have been for a couple of years. It's getting close to maybe being close to letting somebody read it. A model that reconciles Mythen and Donald. I think either or each of them is correct in some way. So I'm working on that, and we'll see where it goes. It has a lot to do with the origins of creativity, and increasingly intelligence is measured as a capacity for creativity, and by that I don't mean sort of arts and crafts. By that I mean the innovation of ideas, and specifically the new neural connections associating ideas that have previously not been associated in a productive way. So we may very intelligently ask, what is the use of intelligence? Well, after now having taken apart this word intelligence and understanding a little bit better what we mean by that, as it turns out, it has to do with innovation, and the selective advantage, as it were, of intelligence seems to be that it provides innovation behaviorally that is necessary for survival of this frail hominid body. Just as in other species, and to a degree in humans or hominids, just as in other species, it's biological variation coming from recombination, that kind of thing, that produces the variation necessary for them to survive biologically. Language, creativity, and these other things going on in the mind that build towards what we call intelligence. Its selective advantage, I am arguing, is that it provides the behavioral variation necessary for hominid survival. So, a couple of things to think about. I guess one main thing is, or the main sort of the gist of everything that I wanted to get across to you, is that when someone asks, "Oh, you took a class on Neanderthals. Could they speak? Could they talk? What are they thinking about?" Now you have a better idea of how to talk about that intelligently. You know that, well, it's not as simple as intelligence. It's not as simple because, again, intelligence can be taken apart into components. And it's not as simple as could they speak or not. You know now that speech is, of course, just about anatomy, and it's just sounds. But sounds, a lot of animals make sounds. No, that's not significant. Not really. What's really significant, of course, is the complexity of the grammar by which those sounds are assembled into what we would call sentences and paragraphs and entire myths. So much more subtle. There are a great deal, many more things to consider when we think about things like Neanderthal intelligence, language, speech, and so on. Right? And that is the point of education. Now you have a better idea of the significant elements in all that. All right, great. I will talk to you next time.